Hello again, everyone. This is Doug O'Clair, online known as Joff, owner of Logical Graphs, LLC. Um, Back again with more ORCA stuff. In this video, I'm going to show you activating a bid that's been called out to be activated, and also more advanced bidding, particularly using assets lent to Ghost to bid on ORCA. So we'll be using two protocols now to do bids. But first, let's activate a bid that I placed just 10 minutes ago. Okay, you see here that I placed a bid on the ST Atom USK marketplace, and there's a bid waiting for me to activate. So I'll activate it. The bid activates, and I record the transaction fee in my spreadsheet. So you see here, I have listed out my bids, including fees on placing the bids and also fees for activation. I'll fill out the Kujira quote and the costs later, particularly when I claim the liquidated asset. All right, so now we have a bid active against ST Atom and the ORCA marketplace. If you look here, you see that I did place a bid for GPXG or gold, and I have a bid of 100 USK there. If we look at the bid denomination of USK, you see I have ST Atom, scroll down a bit, Luna, and GPXG, and that's all the bids I have in place at present. Okay, but if we look at the 7-day trailing activity, we see that in the marketplaces that Kujira USK had more than 10 bids filled. If we look at how much Kujira USK was with Ghost, it's 4.6%. We go to the spreadsheet. And we see that Kujira USK had about $3,300 worth of Kujira liquidated against USK that is lent to Ghost. So let's bid on this marketplace. How do we do that? First, we have to lend USK to Ghost. In return for lending USK to Ghost, Ghost gives us back X tokens, X USK tokens. So let's go to Ghost. Ghost is the Kujira money market, and it allows you to borrow assets against assets that you provide as collateral, or it allows you to lend assets so other people can borrow it. So let's lend some assets. So we go to USK, and we're going to lend 100 USK to Ghost. I'll record this transaction later. So we go to our dashboard and we see that we have deposited, we have lent USK, and we have 100 USK lent. If we go to our wallet, we see our wallet's original settings. We do a refresh on the wallet. It doesn't automatically refresh for us. We see we have 400 USK left after the bids that I placed and the amount of USK that I have lent to Ghost. It says 91, but that value is nearly $100 worth. So it says 91 because the value of XUSK increases over time, which is really cool. You lend the asset to the Ghost marketplace and it pays you for lending to it in APR. By increasing the value of XUSK versus USK, you incrementally earn liquidity by lending to that pool. But now we have something else that we can do with that liquidity, and that is we can bid in the XUSK marketplaces. But I'm particularly interested in bidding on Kujira with XUSK. So if I go to this marketplace, it shows that I have 91 XUSK available, which is approximately $100 worth. I go look at the bids in the marketplace and I see that there is 13.6 million Kuji USK worth of Kuji available to bid against and 500K of USK in bids. And you see a lot of bids here at the low end petering off, and then somebody's betting that at a 30% liquidation is going to occur, and they bet nearly $100,000 worth on that bet. So I value Kuji more than I value the stable coin. So I'm looking at the bids placed and where they're placed, and I'm just going to bid below the curve. I'm going to bid all my XUSK, and I place my bid. I'll save this transaction later, and I will also log it into my spreadsheet as a bid here. Boom. Well, let's actually start to do this. So today's date. We have the transaction ID. I do that for auditing purposes. And the amount bid was this much. And there we go. If you look at the marketplace again, you see that I have to wait another 10 minutes for me to activate the bid. As you recall, I just activated at the beginning of this video a bid for ST Atom. So we have to wait another 9 minutes to activate this bid for Kuji using XUSK. So that's an example using XUSK. But there's also, if we look at the marketplaces, there's also, let's go to my blog, a small market share of Atom lent to Ghost bidding on liquidated Kuji. Let's see how much. And again, these raw data are available in GitHub, publicly available. And I publish these reports every day, so you can look at the charts and check them out. So, okay, XUSK Kuji, $3,300 worth, as we discussed in the last video. So that's a good amount of Kuji that was liquidated with that marketplace on XUSK for Kuji. Let's look at X Atom for Kuji, $1,000 worth. So let's go visit that marketplace. We see that there is 13.5K of Kuji available to be liquidated and 100 Atom used in liquidation. So that's really cool. So that ratio is 100 to 1, which is super cool. And you see that the bids here are are on the high side. So somebody bid at 10% and everybody else bid around 30%. And you see the liquidations have occurred. 90 Kuji were liquidated as recently as the 7th. So not a lot of cadence occurring in this particular marketplace, but it's an interesting marketplace to be in because there's not a lot of bidders. And the ratio of stuff that can be liquidated versus the bids in place is there's a lot of room available there. So what we do is we go to Ghost, we go to lend our atom. And so I'm going to lend my atom. I have 9.162 atom to lend, which is approximately $100. Save this transaction for later. Go to my dashboard, and it shows that where did my USK go? Well, my USK went into the Orca marketplace. And so it's no longer in Ghost because I bid it all on Orca. But now I have Atom lent to Ghost. And so that now is available to bid on the Orca marketplace. So let's go back to the Orca marketplace, refresh it because it doesn't see your activity. You have to manually refresh it. And then it shows me my X atom, which is equivalent to 9.16 atom, available for bidding. We have 7 atom bid here, and we have nearly 100 X atom bid. Now the last set of the liquidations are 90 and 10, and then smaller amounts here. And that was Kuji liquidated, X atom paid. So that's 3 and then 1. So if I bid here at 28%, a small bid is going to be captured by this person at 10%. So this person is going to capture the 10 atom or 10 Kuji or 1 Kuji or 5 Kuji. But if a large liquidation occurs, then that'll blow right through here all the way over to here. So I'm going to bid at 28% because I'm having fun with this. And I'm going to go on the belief that there'll be another large liquidation of Kuji. Will it occur? And most likely not. Most likely you have these liquidations occurring in small amounts and then this large one. But if it does occur, then it's a payday for me. So I'm going to bid at 28%, 29%. And let's record the transaction. So go to the spreadsheet. Record the transaction. And you see here, my bid is in a waiting to be activated state. We have to wait another 9 minutes for it. Let's go back and check on the other bid that I just placed on Kuji with XUSDC. So I have another 2 minutes to wait there. In 2 minutes, I'll go activate that bid. But so that's a more advanced approach. What we did here was that the first thing we did was activate the bid for liquidated ST atom using USK as a bidding, as bidding liquidity. That was straightforward. That was a straightforward ORCA bid. But then I checked my spreadsheet and I saw that there were a couple of other interesting marketplaces. One marketplace was bidding Kuji with XUSK. And XUSK is USK lent to Ghost. I lent the USK to Ghost, and then I bid it in that marketplace. And we're looking at this marketplace right now. The other one was X Atom or Atom lent to Ghost used as to bid for Kuji. And so if we look at that marketplace, we see that we have a bid in the waiting state there. Now, if we go to Ghost and we refresh the dashboard, we see that the atom has gone away because it's now being used to bid on the ORCA marketplace. What's the neat thing about bidding with X assets on ORCA? Well, the longer you wait, the more valuable the X asset becomes. And so your asset just isn't sitting there, it's actually growing at the rate of the exchange rate of the X asset, which is cool. The downside is that there's not a lot of marketplaces that are active using these X assets. Most of the marketplaces that are active, as we see on my blog, are marketplaces that are just straight up USK. Those are the largest amount of movements of liquidity when you're bidding USK. So it's nice to bid with XUSK or X Axel USDC or X Atom, but the lion's share of the bids that are filled are the ones with USK. So the upside of bidding with X assets is that they grow over time. And so your bid doesn't just sit there, it actually grows over time. The upside of using straight up USK is that you have a higher likelihood of being in a more active marketplace and having your bid filled sooner rather than later. All right, let's look back at our marketplace. Go to Kuji XUSK. And it says, behold, we're ready to activate this bid. Let's activate this bid. I grab the fee. Or XUSK. Voila. Now, there's one other marketplace that I noticed in my analyses, and that was there was a marketplace of XUSDC. And the marketplaces with XUSDC are Atom and ST Atom. So let's look at Atom and ST Atom versus XUSDC. You see here an XUSDC Atom, $1,000, and XUSDC ST Atom is $4,000. So let's look at the ST Atom marketplace first. Okay, you see I have no bids on that marketplace. You see that there is 2.6K of Axel USDC atom available to bid on, and there's 5K of Axel USDC bid against that 2.6K. So that the ratio is actually inverted. You have more bids than you have collateral available to bid against. That is yucky if you're trying to get hits, but it's because of this bidder here is bidding so much that is creating this huge differential. So if we bid below this person and below this person and below this person, we have a higher likelihood of our bid getting hit. And since there's $4,000 worth of atom being liquidated, ST atom being liquidated, that's an interesting thing. Am I going to bid all my actual USDC here? I don't know. Let's check out the atom marketplace. In the atom marketplace, we have, again, this weird inversion where there is only about $1,000 worth of atom available to bid on, but there is almost $20,000 in bids. Again, these bids are all out here. But if we bid below these high bidders, high flyers, then we have a higher chance of getting our bid hit. Now, the thing here is that, yes, these are recent and this is good. And these are nice chunky orders that were filled. So this is either a really new marketplace or people really don't use Atom as collateral to borrow uh, Axel USDC, which is a possibility as well. So interesting. So let's bid on these marketplaces. What I'm thinking here is that I'm going to bid on both marketplaces and see which one works better for me. If I'm presented with two options, and I don't know which one is better, I usually choose both. So I have Axel USDC. I'm going to lend it on Ghost. Save this transaction for later. Now I have, go to the dashboard. You see I have Axel USDC lent on Ghost. So we go back to Orca, we refresh here, and we see we have an equivalent of 100 Axel USDC, which is represented by 93.3 X Axel USDC tokens. The ratio is less X tokens for the underlying or base tokens because the APR, as it continues to pay into the X tokens, makes one X token worth more than one original token. So a lower number in the X token is actually a good thing. All right. So we have $500 and $400 in liquidations on the 7th and the 3rd. So this is not, again, this is not an active marketplace. But let's go ahead and place a bid of half this amount on Orca for Atom. This is the Atom marketplace. I record the transaction. and that transaction cost me this much Kuji. Here's the transaction ID. And you see that this bid is waiting to be activated. Now let's go over to the ST Atom marketplace. Have these large bids. Let's see what the fulfillments are. 340. Again, recent activity. And then nothing for a really long time. So, but 340, something like that. So that's, I can sit here at 10%. I bid the rest of my X Axle USDC. Record the transaction. Get the fee. And then you see this bid is active automatically. There are several marketplaces or many marketplaces where the bid is automatically activated. And there are some marketplaces, the marketplaces that you've seen so far, except this one, that you have to activate after a 10-minute wait period. So am I waiting on, see how my recording allows me to see which ones I still need to activate. Oops, I forgot to record this transaction. So let's retrieve that transaction by going to Finder. And Finder tells me that this transaction was to bid on liquidated ST Atom with X Axle USDC. So I've got the transaction ID now. And you see my wallet now just has the Kuji gas and 400 USK. I'm going to leave that 400 USK in reserve for bids as I get the feel of how the marketplace is working out for me. But I'm going to leave it in. You see that the Axle USD has gone away for bids on Orca. I'm going to leave the USK lending it at nearly 20% on Ghost. So, you know, if I come back after a couple of months, it'll have been activated during that time, paying me at 20% APR. I'll record this transaction later. We go back to Ghost, we go to the dashboard, we see that we have the USK in reserve lent on the Ghost money marketplace. All right. So we have one bid that was automatically activated. We have 3 other bids waiting. Let's look at the X Atom Kuji bid. So if we go X Atom, we see that it's waiting to be activated. So let's activate that bid. bids activated. I grab the transaction fee and record it, showing me that I've activated that bid. Okay, so in this video, we showed how to activate bids after the wait period of 10 minutes. You have to do that manually. You have to remember which bids that you took. And that's why I find recording the bids that I take and the fees that I've paid a good reminder to me which bids I have activated and which bids I still have to activate. Because if you look at the marketplace and you look for your bids here, if you have a lot of bids in place, the marketplace is large. And so you can very easily lose track of which bids you've activated and which bids you haven't, unless you have a good recording system. Okay, that's one thing, activated bids. The other thing is we've seen before how to bid in marketplaces where the denomination is USK. So if I was going to bid on Atom with USK, then I would just simply place my bid with the USK that I have available to me. It says that I have 400, but when I do a refresh, it says I have nothing. So always refresh the marketplace before you do a bid so you know how much you actually have available for bidding. It's not going to hurt you. The transaction will fail if you don't have it, but it makes it easier when you're planning these things out. We've also seen that in marketplaces where the denomination is not straight up USK or actual USDC, what you do there is you go to the Ghost marketplace, you go lend your asset on Ghost, and it shows you the assets that you have lent, and then you can go back to Orca and then look for denominations that include the lent denominations you have on Ghost and bid in those marketplaces. Then we saw when we did that, that you bid your funds in the marketplace with the assets that you lent on Ghost, and then when you complete the bid, the assets disappear from those lending positions because they're moved over to Orca on the bids for those assets that you just bid. Okay, so previous video, simple bidding on Orca. This video, activating bids that you placed in Orca and also bidding with more complex types of assets using the Ghost money marketplace to fund your bids on Orca. Thank you.